I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, June 3rd to order.
Recording in progress.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everyone to please double check your cell phones and your electronic devices, make sure they're on vibrate or off. Thank you. This meeting was duly advertised in the Lancaster newspaper, the LNP meeting group. I would like to announce that there was one executive session that was held on May 27th, and that executive session was for approximately 2 hours, and that executive session was related to personnel matters. Gentlemen, past meeting minutes for approval. Any alteration, changes, corrections?
We're talking about the May 6th corrections.
Okay.
I think the corrections have been made, haven't they?
Yes. So there was, so we're going to be reapproving those meeting minutes due to a correction that was made. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Yeah, I will second that one.
Okay. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the meeting minutes of May 20th. And I believe I have one correction for that one. Under executive sessions held, it's just a typo. It says April 11th, 2021 for approximately 20 minutes. That should be May 11th, 2021.
RC.
Yes, sir.
Their land planning had Brent lead down, he wasn't at the meeting. That was Casey. Correct.
Yep.
And they also have visitors, they have Derek Kepler as a Zoom. He was, as far as I know, he was sitting in the meeting unless I was.
I was actually both, so I had it up here.
Okay.
Either way.
All right. When you go over to the other pages, you've got votes of 3-0. There was only 2 supervisors at this meeting.
That's correct.
And on the last page, on announcements, it does say,
That's a typo. That should say June 3rd. Right. So the corrections I have here are then going forward. Land planning, who was represented? Casey. Okay, so that should be Casey there for land planning. The executive session should be May 11th. On the, Doug, I'm sorry, I missed.
I talked about the chief, but
Okay.
he said he was on both, right?
Got it.
Correct.
Okay, then in the motions under treasurer's report, it says 3-0 there. It should be 2-0 for all of those. I was not present in that last meeting.
And the same with the manager's report. That says 3-0.
Okay. We will make those corrections. And then the final correction I have is on page 5, and that one is for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, was the announcement. Any other corrections?
For under announcement, the next Board of Supervisors meeting scheduled for Thursday, June 17th.
Yeah, that's what I just said, June 3rd.
Yeah, but it's not at Hill Road. But we're not at Hill Road.
Oh, you're right. So that should be Williamstown Fire Company.
And is it Zoom or not?
We are on Zoom.
Okay, because it says to be determined.
I believe at that time they did say it was to be determined, June, because they weren't quite sure if Ken could get that set up.
Was it advertised that way?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, with those corrections, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes on Thursday, May 20th?
So moved, that's correct.
Second? I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
I will be voting no on that. The executive session that was announced here, I was not informed about that ahead of time, and there were decisions made there that I was not informed of until after they were made. Thank you, sir.
May 27th.
On May 11th.
Am I looking at May
May
27th?
May 11th. Thanks.
May 11th.
Okay, moving on. Township solicitor's not here with us this evening. We are here, we have ordinance 2021-03, which is, I will read that ordinance here. That is the ordinance, an ordinance authorizing East Cocalico Township to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with Denver Borough for the services of Mike Hessian as manager.
If you're on Zoom, can you please mute?
Right. So this was, the proof of publication was done, and it was on May, this was dated May 24 of 2021. The attestation was done on May 14th by the law firm. The attestation was done by Mr. Mitchell on the 14th of May. So, gentlemen, before you, you have the management services agreement as well as attached to the intermunicipal agreement with Denver Borough for Mike Hessian to be serving as manager for East Cocalico Township also. Any questions?
None for me.
Mr. Eversole? No? Okay. Do I have a motion to enter into the intermunicipal agreement with Denver Borough for the services of Mike Hessian as manager, and that's ordinance number 2021-03?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Comments, questions? Okay. All in favor?
Wait,
I think
wait,
we're-
wait.
Yeah, question.
I can't see. Sorry, Doug, I couldn't
That's all right.
see.
What are we looking at money-wise? You haven't talked about that.
So what we will be doing is, pull that up for you. We will be splitting the costs with Denver Borough as well as East Cocalico Township
Okay,
for the services.
and what are those costs? Are you splitting it $2 or 20,000 or
No.
200
I
or what?
will get those for you right now.
I believe it's a 50-50 split.
You said split, I would assume it's 50/50,
Yes.
but the money's the important part. The split's one thing, but what are we splitting?
We do have a number.
Okay, so the estimated cost, because we have to look at the salary and the benefits, we're looking at the whole package together. For the first year for the management services agreement is $205,000. Denver Borough portion of that is $102,500. The East Cocalico portion of that is $102,500. That's the 50-50 split.
Okay,
Okay?
that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry about that, I
Oh,
couldn't
no.
see you.
All right, I have a question. Does it increase at other years? the other years?
No, that's fixed for right now.
So 3, I mean, wait, for how long a period, is that 1 year?
That's for 1 year, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
And this is on the agreement or the order?
This is the ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to land planning engineering. Right. Good evening. First project on the agenda is Wabash Landing Phase 2. That would be the Phase 2 final plan for the ongoing Wabash Landing development. In attendance tonight are representatives of Pioneer Management, Josh Volpe, and also the developer, Kevin Zimmerman. So I'll set the stage and provide some background information. Then there's a few items within the May 11th, 2021 review letter to discuss, and then ultimately possibly 3 motions tonight. Some are related to authorizing some standard documents to be signed related to the PennDOT permitting associated with the project, and the last item would be to consider possible conditional approval of the project. So Josh does have the plan present here. If there are specific questions, we can go to the plan and attempt to clarify any items as necessary. So we can get into as much detail regarding the Phase 2 portion of the project. As you're aware, Phase 1, the preliminary plan was approved. Phase 1 was approved and recorded and under construction, and now they're pursuing Phase 2. Phase 2 would have 84 dwelling units, 28 single-family, 1 single-family with 1 conversion apartment, 20 semi-detached single-family units, 18 attached single-family, and 16 multi-family dwellings. The key aspect to this project, this portion of the project, is the access onto Stevens Road, which requires PennDOT permitting, has gone through the standard process relative to that, traffic studies, detailed information submitted to PennDOT, multiple reviews, the most recent of which was returned on the May 24th, and they're narrowing down on limited items to resolve the PennDOT permit, and Josh can clarify any of those as necessary. In relation to the PennDOT permit, a standard step would be where there are drainage facilities proposed along the state roads. PennDOT requires the township to serve as the applicant for those. This is similar to what was done on the guard spot frame alignment project along 272 and some prior other projects. As a result of that, the standard process is that those obligations then are transferred from the township back to the applicant or an HOA or some entity associated with the development for long-term maintenance. And that is done through plan notations and a stormwater maintenance easement agreement. So if there's no questions related to the PennDOT aspect of it and the need for this document, the suggested motion related to that would be a motion to authorize the township manager or representative of the Board of Supervisors to sign PennDOT Form M950AA related to the developers, and that would be Sunview Partners LP, in pursuit of a PennDOT highway occupancy permit to obtain authorization to install the proposed drainage facilities within the PennDOT right-of-way, conditioned upon Sunview Partners LP signing the stormwater management easement agreement as prepared by the township solicitor, documenting their commitment to install and have the HOA accept the responsibility for long-term maintenance for the drainage facilities. Any questions? Any questions, comments? Okay. It is pretty straightforward. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Yeah, I can second that.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
Another item related to PennDOT permitting is that as part of PennDOT's process, they want to make sure they're coordinating with the municipality and don't authorize approvals without understanding consistency of reviews and stormwater requirements, et cetera, are addressed. So they do require that there also be a stormwater consistency letter provided by the township. We are in a position with this project, it's gone through multiple reviews with the PennDOT. As I indicated, the applicant has an NPDS permit in hand for the project, which comes along with associated E&S approval. We've gone through multiple reviews and are down to a few technical items as outlined in the May 11th letter. So our recommendation would be for you to make a motion to authorize the township manager or representative of the board of supervisors to sign the stormwater consistency letter as drafted by the township engineer for submission to PennDOT in conjunction with the developers, that's Sunview Partners LP, pursuit of a PennDOT highway occupancy permit. And the draft of the letter was handed to you prior to the meeting. If you'd like, I could read the specifics, but essentially it's directed to PennDOT. It references the PennDOT highway occupancy permit application number, identifies the status of the project, which is, I can read something here. As part of the ongoing subdivision plan review process, the township and township engineer have reviewed the project plans and site design for general performance of applicable township stormwater management ordinance requirements. The applicant's consultants have also obtained a general NPDS permit for the project. And while there are various remaining technical items and typical administrative or legal matters remain to be resolved prior to the township acknowledging unconditional final plan approval, the key aspects of the current stormwater design are consistent with the applicable township stormwater management ordinance requirements. So, if there's any questions to that,
Any questions?
Straightforward there too.
Okay, I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries.
So I guess I'll turn it over to Josh a little bit and we'll go through some of the items that were discussed with the Planning Commission from the May 11th letter. I don't think we want to get bogged down in all the items, but there are specific ones that the Planning Commission had some discussions on. The applicant made certain commitments in response to those, and maybe we just identify those to the board for your understanding and then consider conditional approval following that.
Good evening. My name is Josh Polk. I'm with Pioneer Management. We're the design firm helping Sunview Partners develop the tract. As Brent has stated, we're looking to go through a few itemized things from the comment letter, probably about 7 or 8 things that were discussed with the Planning Commission. Now bring them in front of you guys for any discussion you may want to have. And then our goal and hope is to get conditional final plan approval for phase 2, if so desired by the board. I'm just going to start with going down through the items that were discussed at the Planning Commission, and we can move along as fast as you would like. First comment that your township engineer felt was necessary to discuss it in a public setting is the possible need to update specifications, manuals, HOA documents, and so forth based on any changes that have happened to the plan since final plan for phase 1. I'm going to point out a couple changes that were mentioned in the letter and that I know about. Along the perimeter of phase 1, and I'm going to go through and point, so.
And this would be related to comment 3, subdivision land development comment 3 on page 2 of the review.
Along the perimeter of the tract here adjacent to the mobile home park, a fence was installed, and that particular fence was installed with the intent of making each individual property owner the responsibility to maintain the portion that crosses their individual lot. So that is one topic that was discussed at the Planning Commission. Second topic was that the HOA documents will be updated to make the responsibility of the pedestrian footbridge the responsibility of the homeowners association. So we're in the process of working to update our HOA documents to ensure that that's not burdened on any particular lot owner and is an HOA responsibility. And the other topics would be, you know, the new emergency access, and I'll call it the second emergency access. This one is going to have an outside agreement written for it. It was most recently submitted to the township today to document some things related to the conditions for the modification that we requested as far as timeframes that the developer has to pave if they have to pave the temporary emergency access in 5 years from the phase 2 recording if phase 3 is not completed or at least in the process. There may be some leeway there with the municipality depending if we're close to finishing phase 3. But that was one topic that was a change, and then this is a change also, which is a smaller temporary emergency access, but functioning more for the benefit of pedestrians to get to the public park.
So essentially, as part of phase 1 and the preliminary plan discussion, the HOA documents were tidied up and everything was addressed. As the project has evolved, the fence was added during the phase 1 construction, not represented on the plan initially, and then some of these more specific items related to phase 2 features such as the pedestrian bridge are now being addressed. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of concern on our part. And initially there was some discussion with respect to the fence. It does go along multiple properties, and was there consideration for the HOA maintaining it versus the individual property owners, and the applicant's preferences, the individual property owners. And I don't know that there's a big issue one way or the other. It's a fence and it needs to be maintained.
I guess part of our feeling and argument is that the primary benefit is for the person that lives there, not for everybody else within the community. The homes that are going to line here are going to get all the benefit of the fence. So,
If it's the responsibility of each homeowner to maintain that fence, how does the HOA speak to it so it doesn't become somewhat of a quilt pattern of, I like vinyl, he likes wood, I like shiplap, you know, I mean, how will...
the HOA documents and or the architectural specifications manual are written so that vinyl fencing is the only permitted allowable fencing in this development.
So the enforcement component, it will be the HOA, even though they're not the responsible.
There'll be a review board. Any replacement or new fence needs to be reviewed and approved by the HOA's review board.
And the reminder would be it was not a requirement. It was an optional.
Yeah, it was a marketing idea, meaning that putting the fence there seemed to be the right thing for a marketing standpoint of the lot.
No, yeah, you talked about a few changes with the emergency access and all. That was, has that been reviewed by any of our emergency
Yes.
management people?
Yes.
Okay.
When that modification was processed, I don't know the exact date, but those were reviewed and discussed. And one of the key aspects with the phase 2 changes in terms of which portions of the development now became phase 2, it triggered that additional discussion. It triggered the additional requirements for it to be paved at some point in time, widened, and there was actually a field meeting. Myself, Tony, and Harvey out there to look at the condition of the existing drive in the one area and discuss what should be done to ensure that it serves its intended purpose.
So it will be totally accessible.
Ultimately. The hope and goal of the applicant is that the development proceeds as it has been. But in order to have some fallback and some safeguard, there are provisions that if it does not happen and the development continue in a timely manner, that at least the primary portion of it from, you can show which portion you can pay to connect. The other portion of the development we're discussing only slightly exceeded the number of dwelling units that would require an emergency access. In fact, I think if you total, and you can show the upper area, if you total all the dwellings in that quadrant of the development, it's only 22, and the standard requirement is 20. 21, yeah, maybe 21 with swapping and then the adding of the prior, it's somewhere around there. Then, as a result, they are providing, it was discussed and it was provided as a temporary stone access lane that would remain permanently if phase 3 were not to occur.
Correct.
And additional discussions could be had at that point in time as to whether it could be improved or should be improved.
Okay, thank you.
So if you're generally content with the fence discussion, I don't think there's any motions or formal, I think the record could reflect that there wasn't a concern with respect to that.
Moving on? Okay. Second topic that was discussed is comment 4 in the subdivision land development section. And I'm going to point to this area because you don't see the lighthouse, but the reason this is the topic now is because if we didn't talk about this now, it wouldn't have public utilities. So this lighthouse here was originally intended to have public restrooms in the base of the lighthouse. The lighthouse itself was an amenity, aesthetic, civil feature, but as time went along, we started to realize that it's probably not the most secure and best solution to put public restrooms in this type of scenario which may create havoc for the police department or different things go on. So we wanted to point out that we now do not have water and sewer laterals to this lighthouse and are removing the restrooms from the lighthouse.
The feature is intended to remain, but as functionist maybe explained that.
Feature is intended to remain, and if anything, it'll have storage for the HOA in the base of the structure.
So the only reason it was being discussed is originally it was represented as an amenity or as one of the additional aspects to meet the village overlay standards. Any substantive changes to that felt appropriate for the board to at least hear and consider if there was any concern with that. I think you heard their logic and you could decide if you buy in that it makes sense not to have that. It is the feature would be maintained by the HOA long term, and I think the concern is potential conflicts and difficulties associated with that.
The only utilities there would be on the power supply to the lighthouse, and that's
Correct.
That's the only utility.
Any concerns? Onward.
Number 8, bullet point 5. This one is regarding temporary stone parking facility. I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. This particular group of apartments right here was utilizing to meet its parking space requirement of 3 parking spaces per dwelling unit, was utilizing a few parking spaces on future phase roads. Because those future phase roads are not a part of phase 2, we had to come up with an alternative for the interim scenario to make sure that they had enough parking spaces. So what we did is we removed this particular lot right here, lot 157, from the phase 2 plan. And off of the access drive here, we are putting in temporary parking spaces on that lot so that if for some reason phase 3 never happened, there was parking spaces that met the ordinance for that apartment facility.
This is similar to what was discussed on another project with the board recently relative to meeting the village overlay parking requirements for dwelling units having 3 parking spaces within 100 feet. Wabash complies with that, and this is their attempt to ensure that during this interim phasing period, where not all the adjacent roadways are built out, that will ultimately be there with phase 2, that they still comply with that standard. The plan notes that that dwelling And when he said the lot's removed, technically, the lot remains, the dwelling unit has been extracted from the lot, and the lot is identified as unable to be built upon until phase 3. So there's also a similar situation occurring on the other single-family lot adjacent to it. So relatively minor items. The only concern we had here is if it lasted long-term, and as discussed at the planning commission, there was a verbal commitment, I think, from the applicant, if it exceeded 5 years, that the surface would be paved. So as long as you're content with that, I don't know that there's any further discussion that are required. Two, three. I think we're back to general comments. Number 2, and this related to, okay,
Stormwater management comment, number 2, bullet point 1,
yeah,
it's related to the bioretention area.
yeah, by the way.
There was discussion with the planning commission just about the scenario we have here. Your township engineer wanted to bring it to your attention that currently, right now, we have a scenario where there's stormwater discharging into a BMP in this facility, and the BMP is a water quality BMP that is going to hold water, and the water that's within it is going to evapotranspirate or evaporate to discharge from the facility. If that doesn't happen, could have standing water for a certain amount of time. We were dealt with some challenges, the stormwater that was necessary along the state road and meeting minimum covers for PennDOT and discharging down to here. We have an elevation that we're dealing with, and the elevation that we're dealing with here is lower than the draw or drainage way that comes through here. So in order for us to actually daylight it and not have any standing water, we would have had to come down here off-site. So it's a scenario that there wasn't really much we could do about, but your township engineer has. Wanted to bring it to your attention that now that we have a new home here as a part of the plan, which is, we call it the Kreider lot, I'll say the secondary applicant right now, who is in a sales agreement with our developer, is intending to move into this particular lot right here, build a new home. They currently live here. I don't know if they intend to sell this or rent it or what, but they intend to build a new home here. So they're going to be the people that have a home directly adjacent to the bioretention area. We have added notes or committed to adding notes to the plan to explain that there will possibly be standing water there for periods of time.
Yeah, the reason this was brought up in this review is it is a change from the preliminary plan, which also reflected aspects from the phase 1 final plan, reflected aspects in this area. Lot 175 was not shown, so the thoughts relative to the proximity of this feature to adjacent residents was different during prior reviews. Now with the addition of lot 175, that dwelling that he's pointing to is essentially directly adjacent there. So logically, it raised the concern when you have a BMP that has potentially lingering standing water that may extend beyond the typical 72-hour period expected, that there should be some discussion. There was also discussion about, in the reviews, of trying to minimize the opportunity for standing water and so forth. And there were design changes made to reduce the size of the feature and other things, shallow it to the extent possible. But now it's still necessary to have some type of feature. And I think during the planning commission there was an agreement that one of our concerns was, should we have an acknowledgement from that property or that purchaser? In this case, we know who that purchaser is, and I felt, at least as a minimum step, the township should consider, the board should consider requiring some type of acknowledgement that that property owner, the initial property owner, the one that's acknowledging them, understands that. Understands that feature, understands the characteristics of that feature, and accepts that condition. The concern also is that they are not the party that would be responsible for long-term maintenance.
They would not. The HOA is responsible for everything that is a BMP as a part of the MPDS permit.
So you want to make sure you don't set up an adversarial relationship immediately where somebody's saying, I didn't understand it was going to do that or be like that, and they should fix it before you do the HOA. So if you're in agreement, I think they have verbally acknowledged during the planning commission meeting that they would provide some type of acknowledgement or obtain an acknowledgement from the prior to final plan approval.
What's the form that would take, a written acknowledgement from there? Okay.
And we can talk, it can be a written acknowledgement acceptable to the township solicitor, if that's what you prefer.
Yeah.
Just so there's no surprises, Fred.
Well, yeah, sometimes there are design constraints, there aren't perfect scenarios everywhere, and it's trying to balance those, and in this case, one of the entities that's involved is directly related to the development, is essentially a participant in the development, being the proprietors, and if they acknowledge that situation, I think you've done what you can, probably, the best you can.
How long can the standing water stand with the chance that it does bring mosquitoes before the township becomes a possible party to the problem?
I don't know that there's a magic answer to that.
I don't know that any of us could say that it stays this long, you're gonna get mosquitoes. It doesn't stay this long, you're not gonna get some mosquitoes.
Yeah, and that's a whole discussion of the mosquito, PMP issue.
Well, I heard short term, and then I heard 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 days. And I'm not sure
the general
everybody's
rule
short
of water
term
quality-
is defined the same.
The general rule of water quality facilities, they have to dewater within 72 hours. So any of these BMPs required to be water quality facilities are generally all utilizing 72 hours and below,
Okay.
so
All right.
that time frame is pretty common.
Question?
Where's that actually located at on that property? Where will that be, I guess?
The best description would be that as you're turning in off of Stevens Road into the development, and that's essentially the central portion between the Kreider's residence as it sits today and the Tronosky,
So where the garden sits, between the barn, around the
close
barn?
to the barn.
It's where the pedestrian bridge goes across the draw right there.
Yeah, I haven't seen them drawings, so I'm just familiar with the land as it sits. So be in the area of the garden, the barn.
Yeah.
It'd be between the existing house and the barn,
Right.
is where they're gonna ultimately end up.
So the-
So where the water runs now when it rains.
Yeah.
It's right next to the draw.
Any other questions?
General comment 2, that's on at the very end of the review, related to the porches in the village overlay, as has been discussed on the other village overlay projects. Porches are an aspect of the village overlay design criteria. This plan acknowledged and the design manual acknowledged providing those on the appropriate structures and so forth. As phase 1 was being built out, we noticed that some of the porches appeared to be getting smaller on the dwellings than what was originally represented in the design plans, and felt that now's an appropriate time before we go forward with phase 2 to raise that to the board and have a discussion with the planning commission and the board. Planning commission discussed it, and the discussions at that point were that proceed moving forward and have the minimum width of the future porches to be 5 foot, which is generally consistent with prior design manual. Some of the current porches were 4 foot or narrowly up.
Just to clarify, he says width, we're talking depth. not so much the width of the building, but depth of the porch.
From the front stoop out to the first step.
And the intent is that as, obviously, the narrower they get, the less functional they are, and then that's truly not meeting the design intent relative to the underlying standards in the village overlay. So I think we would just highlight to that, if you have a concern and feel porches should be wider than 5 feet, which is what they've now acknowledged, then you should express that, otherwise we will proceed along those lines. And then the final item was related to mailbox clusters, and I just felt prior to considering conditional approval, you should have some understanding of where they were placed and why that has evolved since the preliminary plan, where they were last discussed with the board. Now that phase 2 has been refined, the postal service requirements clarified and are ever changing relative to these features. I thought maybe the applicant and Josh could explain where they're at and make sure there's no underlying.
Just a little history, you know, when this was originally designed, there was, I'm gonna say 7, 8 different locations for cluster mailbox units.
During the preliminary plan.
Over time, the United States Postal Service's requirements and/or involvement in mailboxes has become far more elaborate, and we now have to reach out and connect with a planning coordinator to ensure that we get the right locations, we have the right quantity, we have ADA access, we have parking, these type of things now all have to be directly coordinated and approved. So in doing so, at the end of the day, they encouraged us to reduce the quantity of CPU areas to minimize postal service delivery from having to go to multiple places. So now currently our phase 1 is somewhere in this area right here. We have a phase 2 cluster mailbox area up here with, again, all of these have ADA access, pedestrian access, and/or parking. And then the third one would be right up in here. There is going to be a 4th one up in this vicinity where the top lot is in the future phase. But we have it limited down now to 4.
So those are along the public roadways, positioned most, I guess, acceptable locations considering all factors, and would have flush ADA access to the street itself and the adjacent sidewalk system.
And those features are the responsibility of owner and maintained by the HOA.
And they're located within easements and not encumbering any particular lot. So I think those were the items. If you don't have any concerns with those, or there's no other questions, their hope is that you would consider, similar to what the Planning Commission recommended, which is conditional approval. I can read that condition, just that this is the condition that is advanced by your Planning Commission at their last meeting. It would be a motion to conditionally approve the final phase 2 subdivision plan for Wabash Landing, conditioned upon the applicant and applicant's consultant addressing all outstanding items outlined in the Becker Engineering LLC review letter dated May 11, 2021, to the satisfaction of the township zoning officer, township solicitor, and township engineer.
We have a motion.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Any other comments or questions? A second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item on the agenda is Mount Zion Baptist Church. That's the project along Denver Road adjacent to the Comfort Inn. They've been delayed, as reported, on multiple occasions due to the COVID situation, and are reevaluating aspects of the project. They have provided a written time extension. So the recommended motion would be accept the written time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated May 28, 2021, which will extend the deadline for action on the Mount Zion Baptist Church final land development plan until October 11, 2021.
So moved.
Comments, questions? And there's no one here representing that plan?
No.
I will, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Next item is on the agenda is Shady Grove Campground Lot Annexation with Stormwater Management Plan. This was added to the agenda in light of the current deadline for action. Subsequent to placement on the agenda here for this general discussions and updating you on the deadline for action, Township has received a written time extension letter, which should have been distributed, dated June 3rd. So, in light of the correspondence issued by the applicant, which is under consideration by the Township Zoning Officer and Township Solicitor, our recommendation would be that you accept the written time extension as offered by the applicant, which would extend the deadline for action on the Shady Grove Campground Lot Annexation Stormwater Management Plan until September 22nd, 2021. And I did not expect it.
There's nobody here representing the plan.
Is there progress being made there at all? Where are we with that?
I have not received a response. I think the most recent response was issued to the township requesting a possible meeting. My prior review letter was issued as reported in the engineer's report. Becker issued a plan review letter on February 11th, 2021. You had previously accepted a time extension on April 1, 2021.
And it's basically sitting since then.
Yeah, the issue with, the current deadline for action is June 24th. So you have this meeting or next meeting, so the actions that would be possible based on the current status would be to reject the plan based on the review letter, or failure to address the items within the review letter and outline them in a more detailed manner, or accept the time extension offer that was received today and allow continued discussion.
Fred, I believe the correspondence you're referring to, the last one we got, Jeff, I think that is the May 27th one, right? That I'm looking at here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I think there was a correspondence on May 19th initially.
The 19th, yes, yeah, that's the original, yep. Yeah, you're correct. Okay, so that's the last thing we got.
Okay. Yeah, that, I did see that. Okay.
So,
You ready to extend that?
When would they like to meet? Did they give you a time frame on that?
I think they didn't name a specific date. It was issued to the township, and I think Tom Goodman is currently evaluating, was asked to provide feedback.
Feedback on that one? I think that's all we can do at this point. Craig?
Okay.
Yeah, so do you need a formal motion on that one?
Yes, that would be a motion to accept that, so that we acknowledge acceptance of the 90-day time extension, which would extend the deadline for action until September
September 22.
2nd,
Okay,
2024.
I will make that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
And then the final item on the agenda is Carriage Hill Phase 3 and 4. We've been in that general area of the township, we've seen substantial progress with respect to the build out of that development. I'll base course, asphalt, curb, stormwater infrastructure, rough grading, all been completed. As a result, the applicant has requested a reduction in their financial security. That has been evaluated, and a response with an updated summary and spreadsheet was provided through correspondence on May 27th. So unless there's any other questions, the motion would be to authorize a $1,008,717.57 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for the Carriage Hill Phase 3 and 4 preliminary final subdivision plan, resulting in the remaining financial security being reduced to $879,434.39.
And there's no one representing that plan?
No.
Do I have a motion, gentlemen?
Yeah, I'll make that motion for the security reduction.
Okay.
I'll second with discussion, if I may.
Yes, sir.
The reduction is significant. It's a seven-figure reduction. The paving of it, how long does the paving have to lay before we accept it, et cetera? And is there enough money left in the kitty, should there be an issue?
Yeah, good questions. There is no set duration relative to when the township could accept dedication of the roadway when it's done. The roadway is not finished. The roadway does not have the wearing course on, and that would not be authorized to be placed until all the homes are completed. Or, you know, if somebody's down to one dwelling, then there would be a discussion, could they proceed? So first of all, the township would have to acknowledge a willingness to have them finish out the roadway relative to the placement of additional asphalt. At that point, the township would accept dedication if all other infrastructure is confirmed to be adequate, the authority confirms all their infrastructure is adequate, as-built plans are presented. Once that whole dedication process is ultimately done, the township then secures a maintenance bond, which is a bond that would last for 18 months.
That would move forward.
That would move forward. So once you accept dedication, the township still has an 18-month period where they are holding 15% of the total value of the roadway infrastructure, features within the right-of-way, for further evaluation. So at the end of that 18-month period, then there's a final inspection, and anything that's observed at that point would have to be resolved, and the township's maintaining security. So at this point, the township also, when infrastructure is completed, you just don't automatically return all aspects of that value to an applicant. We retain through contingency at least 10% of that infrastructure cost, in addition to costs of the wearing course and monumentate, other things, signage and striping and other things that are in there. We continue to hold a substantial portion of the overall security in case there's, worst case scenario would be a sinkhole or a major. And at this point, you have no obligation to accept dedication. So right now, you just kind of let it play out at this point.
I'm going to let it play out. I just want to let it play out with enough money in the kitty that the township have to step in.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. That is the whole intent of the security and the process we follow, and reasons why we hold 10% the contingency and do not return that immediately. So yeah, we have not had an issue so far. We've completed all prior developments. Carriage Hill, Heatherwoods is another example. The most stress in that situation is actually when it drags out indefinitely. Then values to complete it escalate, the wear and tear, and the opportunity for failure of the base course. Examples of that would be Morganshire and some other things where it took time due to the economy and other things. And as a result, that base course is a coarser aggregate, absorbs more moisture, and is more has more potential for failure.
So if you would allow me to summarize,
We're good.
I'm hearing confidence from you
800,000.
that $879,434.39 would be sufficient.
In addition to all the other leverage you have relative to acceptance of dedication, et cetera.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
We heard talk tonight on two developments in the township that are in the process of expanding, bringing more families, more traffic into the area. We've all witnessed the heavy traffic around Colonel Howard Boulevard at certain times of the day, the light in Reamstown, 272 and Adams, or 897. What are the township's thoughts or plans on the additional traffic coming into the township roads? Most locals know there's ways around those lights and they're taking them, and they're on roads that were not normally designed for that kind of traffic flow. Are there thoughts or plans in place over the next few years to help improve those roads? And what are we going to do about that? You know, we've already seen an increase, I believe, in accidents on 272 between Reamstown and Colonel Howard Boulevard. Just in my own opinion, from a citizen's point of view, other roads are going to start to see that effect as well. And naturally the speeds on those roads because they're in a hurry to get around those areas. So that's my kind of question there is what is the township's thoughts or plans over the next 3 to 5 years, 10 years even, to improve those areas as we continue to add developments and traffic and things like that to the area.
We do have a capital improvement plan in place. It's been something that's been talked about. There hasn't been implementation of most anything yet, I guess is a fair summary of it. There's been a lot of talk with the traffic impact fees that there is money there. There's been, we've heard proposals about the upgrade here at the Church Street 272 intersection. That was on the plan for 2018. You know, nothing's been done there yet. It's my thought that we need to proceed with that at some point.
Is that state holding that up or just internal township issues?
It's more the board, I think, coming to some conclusions moving forward on that.
Yeah, I would say it's a combination. Yeah, I completely agree with what Jeff said. I think it's a combination of items. I think it's one thing for us as a municipality to come to a decision and a priority list. And the most difficult thing that I have had to learn in my short tenure here, PennDOT moves really slow. So their version of what our time frame is versus our version of the time frame, they're very divergent.
Yeah.
You know, so to answer your question as fairly as I can and openly as I can, I think it's a little bit of both in terms of that back and forth between PennDOT's time frame, our time frame, what we're looking at.
I would encourage expediency, especially up here. I've been a near victim of several almost head-ons by people getting impatient or trying to jump the light or taking it after the light. So in that particular instance there, I would urge the board to be very expedient in getting that process through and pushing the state as needed.
Yes, sir.
Before someone really pays a heavy price for our delay and our waiting on it.
I guess to summarize the proposal we heard, and there's multiple people in the room that heard that, I guess that was back in November. The improvement there, it's going to be a 2+ year process. There's a lot of steps to go through until you actually put shovel in the dirt or in the blacktop. So
just emphasizes the point, so let's get on it.
I hear you. That's been one of my thoughts. It's been on the plan, like I said, from 2018. We should be moving forward with some of that. There's no question. You know, and you talk about that, there's multiple other intersections up and down 272 that need some attention as well.
I think that goes hand in hand with the increased traffic load from the new residents, new developments coming in.
No doubt, no doubt.
It's good to have it, it's good to see the township grow, but I think we need to be very, very proactive in how we look at the safety of our residents on the township roads.
Make the comment about some of the more traffic on the back roads. One of my observations over the years is you blacktop them, make them smoother, and it increases the speed. People start traveling quickly, and there's a portion of our township still with plain people and
Oh, yeah.
horses out there. That's one of the things that scares me the most.
Well, even things like the stop sign that was put recently up here on Stevens Road, I think that's a huge safety impact right
Yes,
there.
absolutely.
Because that's been the site of several rollover accidents even in that respect there. I think that was a good thing. So looking at more things like that, even though it slows you down, which is intended to do, definitely I think would help.
You look down the capital improvement plan of the township, my gosh, the numbers get staggering when you look through the years ahead.
Is that on the website?
70 or $80 million with various intersection improvements. And, you try and do the best you can with a budget to try and target the areas that need it. And, to just say that everything can get accomplished,
It's tough.
it's not
I understand
realistic,
that.
I guess.
Yeah, I think,
Try and prioritize.
I think it's fair to say that we as a board, we understand what you're saying. We're very aware of it also. We're keeping our eye on it also. It's just the amount of steps in the process are quite a few.
I would also say that when you have multiple projects going on, there's also, those projects are doing their own studies to satisfy PennDOT and in addition to the township to get the permits to access them. So things are evolving, so you have to monitor all that. And the capital improvement program that was referenced by Mr. Mitchell is based on the township's transportation impact fee ordinance. And one aspect of that, it identifies prospective projects, the cost of those projects, and the percentage of funds to be spent. But when you reference all types of development occurring and addressing the impacts of that, that is the purpose of the transportation impact fee ordinance. Small, large, any type of development is contributing its fair share to that program and brings the developer to the table for other discussions with the township, especially if they're talking large projects or their project has triggered significant improvements through PennDOT. Everything can be complicated, but it at least starts that discussion and has funds involved with it to try to offset these. So it is a program that requires monitoring and maintenance and updating relative to those improvements, their costs, and what's appropriate based on today and anticipated development that's currently being discussed.
No, I do understand that, thank you.
And that is, it's all available on the website.
Yep, thank you.
Just for informational purposes only, what was the last revision on that capital improvement plan? I don't mean to put you on the spot on that, but
You just did.
maybe that's something Doug would even have a reference to.
It was updated, it was updated by Scott Russell.
I thought it was 2018, 17.
That's probably about right. I was
Does
gonna
that
say
sound
probably 3 years
Doug,
ago.
does that sound
There was
right?
some shifting
I thought it
of,
was
18,
17, 18.
closer to 18 than 7. But it does beg the question, not the question, but the comment that for all those who have been attending these meetings, there's been discussion about the TIF and its importance. And, as Brent alluded to, there's a lot of money that is generated because of the people moving in here and these developments moving in and businesses moving in are contributing to the ability of the township to rectify these situations. The worst thing you guys could ever do is get rid of the TIF. The absolute worst thing, because Mr. Mitchell just gave the comment of $70 or $80 million, that would be our cost, out of your pockets as taxpayers. Not all the developers, they would walk away scot-free. But the TIF was put in place because when I was on the board, we didn't want to see the taxpayers bearing the brunt of all these facilities being upgraded. They're causing the problems, they gotta have some skin in the game, so we created a TIF, and it's been a good thing, and there's money there. Yeah, the topic of discussion right now is intersection out here, 272 and Church Street. The problem is they're both state roads, and as RC alluded to, the state works at their own pace. But you still have to present something to them. But the TIF is a good thing, and it needs to stay in place. That's all. I'm a strong proponent.
And the county needs, or the township needs to continue to advocate for itself through the county and their programs, especially when you have reference to Colonel Howard and the ramps and other things close to that. Those are truly regional features. They're not a township feature. And the township needs to continue to advocate to the county, just like other municipalities do. There's funding potentially available and it's competitive, but the more you aggressively pursue it, the more likely you are to be heard. And I think there's good cases to be made. If you stand out there and see the amount of traffic that moves through there that really isn't directly associated with the township itself, you get a perspective of how important that intersection is to the county, not just the township. So, but you need to be organized and aggressively fighting where somebody else steps.
So we need to be more squeaky wheel than a well-oiled wheel.
It doesn't hurt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Call for the question.
Mike?
I have
Yeah, vote.
No, not yet.
No, I just had a quick question since you were talking. I saw that Ritu did a review on the TIF reports. Anybody know anything about that?
It's on the list of bills.
Can we hold that one, till we get to,
Okay.
is that okay?
Sure.
Thank you. Yep, just table that one.
Sure.
Right, so I have a motion, I have a second on the floor. Gentlemen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you. I think that's all you have, right?
Yeah, one brief item. There was some correspondence related to Stony Point and the transferring of general permits. We put that on the back burner. That was related to the potential future parkland that would be dedicated to the township. There were some general permits related to a possible future pipe in a tributary and a pedestrian bridge if the township ever wanted to pursue that. The developer would be obligated to hand over permits when the land is transferred to the township. So there was some transfer documents submitted, but that permit, I realized, is going to expire shortly, so we need to get out and talk to them. There's no sense transferring something to you, and once you have it, you have no time to react. So that's why that was not further discussed.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on. CM High, preventative maintenance agreement for the traffic signals.
Yes, there's 11 different traffic lights now that are part of this agreement. Preventative maintenance agreement. Price is same as it was last year for that. Nice to see something with no increase.
You want to call it total?
Yeah, last year, the total on that was, oh my gosh.
$2,895
There you go.
for 11 locations.
Yeah.
And just quickly, those are Route 272 in Garden Spot, 272 in Wabash Road, 272 in Church Street, 272 in Denver Road and Colonel Howard Boulevard, Colonel Howard Boulevard and the 222 northbound ramp and the southbound ramp, 272 in Route 897, South Reamstown Road and the school flashers are included in there, Ream Road School Flashers, Route 272 on Kurtz Road, Colonel Howard Boulevard, and Pepperidge Boulevard. So those are the locations. Okay, so,
That's money well spent.
do you want to make a motion for that?
Yeah, I make a motion, we accept the proposal from CMI.
You'll second. Any comments or questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Okay, department reports. Police Department report, Chief.
All right, couple things. I don't have a lot to report, I just want to say, we're very proud of Officer Logan, excuse me, Logan High, who has been named the Department DUI Top Gun for the Lancaster County DUI Council. The ceremony will be held June 21st down at the training center. I will be present. I'm not sure if Sergeant Proden will be able to attend. Logan will be presented with the Top Gun Award for our department for 18 DUI arrests in 2020. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm not, he was only on the job for 6-7 months at that point. So 18 in that time period is pretty good. That's really good. So we're very happy and proud of him for that and his accomplishment. And again, he will be receiving that award on June 21st. And the only other thing I have is,
Does that make Roger jealous? Did he?
I think Roger had 32 last year, so that was a whole year, so it's 1,000. Right. It's Logan High.
He had a good teacher though.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. So the next, or the only other thing I have would be to ask for a motion to hire Kate Yelk for the administrative assistant position for the police department with a start date of June 21st at $20 per hour.
I will make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Comments, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries.
That's a little background.
Yeah.
I mean, she did very well in the interview process, and we went through the entire process. The sergeants assisted during the interviews. So you'll get to know her as you meet her as she comes on board.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief.
Sure.
Any questions for the chief? Okay. Department reports, MS4 stormwater. Ken, do you have anything?
Just a couple items. The grant application for the Rose Hill Basin retrofit has been submitted. How long we have to wait to find out, we don't know. Second item, we have volunteer.
What's your guess on that, Ken, if you were to make a wild stab at it?
Typically, they're not fast. I mean, the last one, sadly, was the Growing Greener grant, the large one for the stream in the Reevestown Park. That took almost a year. I wouldn't expect this to take that long, but it could take 6 months. So one doesn't know when dealing with state
Could know
government.
late in the fall.
Yeah. Tomorrow we have volunteers coming in from UGI who are going to help us plant trees and shrubs along the stream bank project adjacent to the township building. And I've been keeping them watered in my backyard for the last month, so it'll be nice to get those out of my yard and into the ground. And the only other thing is I've been actively working on doing the BMP inspections, the stormwater basins, the other stormwater management facilities, and those are going well.
Okay. Any questions for Ken? Yes, sir.
What grant program is this?
That's I remember the acronym that goes with that.
Is it the Clean Water Fund through Langston County or?
No, it's not. It's a different one.
See if I can
Something
find
like
it.
Water Resource Protection Program or something. I don't remember the exact name right now. But I'll get that for you.
Just as a follow-up, Ken, we had talked with one of the farmers in the township looking to get into our program there. We had an informational meeting, we sat down with them. I hadn't had a chance to follow up with you, but I had a return conversation with him, and he is showing a lot of interest in moving forward. So we're getting interested parties throughout the township. It looks like we will have definitely some people that are going to be bidding and looking to sign up with that. All good news. He was actually talking about going all in with all the property. So, you know, I told him we're going to have to continue the conversation, I guess, at this point. We're waiting on Mr. Goodman to get us a sample contract for the board to review that we can work with these property owners with. That's been slow. So, you know, constant prodding is at work trying to make that happen. And I'm hopeful we'll see something soon. But, you know, we have to have a template there to be showing to these property owners. So anyway, that was some more good news for that.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to the treasurer's report and the list of bills.
Yes, list of bills. Once again, this is similar to the past several meetings. List of bills are none of them have been paid for yet. So we have several lists here because of various reasons. Let's start with the main list of bills. It was $26,651.09 from the general fund. Is there any questions there? Yes, sir.
Check number 61035 for $9,000 for professional services.
That is to one of our attorneys. That is for a litigation matter.
Okay. And then 61037, video camera monitor. From Garden State Highway.
Yeah.
No, that's something correct.
Okay.
I noticed, I saw a couple bills come through the streets on and so on. and
Yeah.
I know-
I'll have to get you an answer.
That's all right. That's all right. And then one more. 61046. There's a section in there for email from Pentel Data.
Yes.
Is that for the email server? Those for email?
That's for us, for the, I'm sorry, the police department.
So when we go to Windstream, is that going to stay here or is that going to
No,
go to
that, I
Windstream?
believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is all police department.
That's a monthly bill there, isn't that? That comes out every.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure, I'll have to look at whether it's.
That's a recurring monthly charge.
They're probably hosting the email.
Yeah,
I'll ask the question later.
I believe it's for the police department, monthly internet, if I'm not mistaken.
And then down there at the bottom, 61052, Sprint cell tower.
That was a police investigation where we pulled cell tower data to find if a cell phone was in a certain area for a certain period of time.
Okay.
So unfortunately, they charged for all the data.
Sure they did.
And somebody has to sit there and go through it all, but
Yep.
they don't do that part, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you.
Question in the back, Brian.
That was the one he had.
Okay. Any other, yes, sir.
Yeah, Jeff, at the last meeting, I asked a question about Eckert Siemens. There was a bill from them last month for $1,122, and you said you'd get an answer from me.
I apologize.
So you still don't have it?
I still don't. Would you like to see a copy of that bill?
Well, I just thought you'd be telling me what it was all about. I mean, we're signing a lot of checks here, and you guys don't seem to know what
We are. We are. I apologize.
I don't apologize to me, there's a room full of people.
No, I'll get you a copy of the bill.
My money, your money, and everybody.
No, I validated it. It's, it's your typical lawyer charges. If you'd like to see a copy, I'll get it.
Yeah, please.
I'll make a note of it. Thank you.
Can you say what the charges were for?
Well, there are a legal firm, so it'll be lawyer fees. I can have a copy of that here at our next meeting, if you'd like, or I can leave it at the township front desk, if you'd like to look.
Yeah, when I look at the legal bills for the last 3 months, it's all been $12,400. There's definitely a lot of doo-doo.
Yeah, how do we like know what those bills are for? How do we, is it a right to know? Or like, do we ask you guys on divulge and just share what those legal bills are for?
If you, anything that's paid here, you can see a copy of the bill.
Like the $9,000?
Except, yeah,
Correction.
correction.
Unless there's litigated matters that have non-disclosures or confidentiality agreements attached to those, the specifics of those bills may not be accessible.
So the general assumption would be that's in regards to the recent separation of the manager leading to Mr. Ashton coming into the picture.
I have no comment about that right now.
Well, this is the one thing I don't understand though. So if $9,000, I'm just using this as an example, right? So if $9,000 is being spent and there's disclosures that are being had, right, where information is not transferable or to the public where we're paying it, then how do we know what it's for?
And
Is
that's
it
why
something that
taxpayer money
is it something
being paid
that
out,
like
it's
is
being
happening
very hushed up.
behind the scenes where, because when I hear that, when I hear it's not being,
It's not being hushed up. There's certain
No,
things
it's-
you can talk about and certain things you can't.
It comes down to litigation. It comes down to legally what can be revealed, what the details behind what can be revealed or not, just like any criminal investigation, just like anything like that.
sure.
I know, but this is all
I'm familiar
taxpayer
with
money,
litigation.
RC, and that is a problem.
And-
And we all feel the same way, that a disclosure has been attached to bills that we are paying. A lot of money. And this is a first in this township.
And there's a lot more money than that from what I'm learning associated with what I believe you're talking about, to the tune of probably almost $300,000. That I know I'm gonna get, no comment, but it's just very concerning as a resident of the township that we are spending that kind of money on a situation that we're told none of your business. And that bothers me. I've been a long-term resident of this township, and I've seen a lot of stuff go down. But the more I'm digging into this and the more I'm meeting stone walls, the more irate and concerned I'm getting that we're not being told the whole truth on this. And if there's a clause in the contract that says that person was allowed to receive that, if that contract's public knowledge, I would like to see a copy of that contract.
I would too.
To see if those terms were part of her separation. They were not here that long. I know people that have been with companies for 20-some years that didn't get a severance package that large. So that tells me there's something that we're not being told. And if there's more information available to that, I'd like to know how to get that, and if we could get that, please.
The contract is available through the right to know.
Of course.
Yeah,
The
well,
contract is available through the right to know.
Okay, that's
So
what
the
I was trying to figure out.
So
So it is public knowledge, it's through right to know.
The contract is available for right now.
Okay, thank you.
It's fair to say, I guess, that the paper dug into the facts, printed various numbers, and they were accumulated through Right to Know. So
So,
it's been done, it can
Yeah.
be done.
okay, so,
Okay, thank you.
again, I kind of worked in the law vertical for 2.5 years. So, in order to understand, one, what the litigation is about, I mean, there has to be some sort of case docket that's available to the public, number one. Number two is, where can we get a copy from the law, from basically the constable or the law firm that you're using as far as what can be said and what can't be said about the case?
Best way for me to answer that is you can submit a right to know.
The best way I can do that. And what would that right to know look like? What would be the title of the right to know?
Whatever information you're looking for, you submit it in the right to know. That's the best information I can give you right now to protect the municipality.
So, again, I find this really interesting. So I have to get a right to know in order to understand what is going
You
on.
are entitled, Eddie, you're entitled to any information that's within the municipality. Some information is confidential, some of the information is HR related, some information is HIPAA related. Whatever questions you have, the best process is submitted in a right to know.
Fair enough.
What do we write in the right to know? Do we write down the manager's contract? I mean,
I can give you my business card at the end of the meeting if it's, I'm the assistant right to know officer for the township. I can give you my business card and we can email correspond back and forth very simply. We'll make it as easy as possible. There's just certain things that we have to do.
There's certain steps we have to follow.
I was just wondering what we put in blank for
Right.
that particular.
I can assist you though.
Okay?
Okay, back to the bills.
Yes,
Back to the
ma'am.
bills. Nicholas Hohenwater, $425.50,
Traffic impact fee.
doing what? What were they doing?
I believe that was one of the consultations we had with them perhaps.
Consultating what? I'm just asking,
Yeah,
because we're the committee and
yeah.
just spending our, anyway. And then, of course, I see over here, you probably got some Mac Prem on, no, John Schick on Route 2. Or which did I just mix them up? One's $397.50, that's to Route 2. And that says who to review reports. So you talked to both of them, Schick and Prem probably?
There's been conversation, there's been businesses in the township that have been creating conversation
Oh,
about
the
traffic
negative,
impact.
okay.
So, the board has been getting feedback. Anytime you get an email, there's a bill that comes with it. But no, there's been conversation about that, the traffic impact fee. As you know, it's been happening in meetings, it's been happening.
Right, there are certain business people that are totally against the traffic impact fees.
And
They feel the residents should be paying for it, not them.
we're in the process of getting a summary together of, as you know, the whole traffic
Yeah,
impact
we've
fee.
been waiting a long time.
Well, it's, I'll say it again, it's coming. But we're heading there. We will have that.
Okay.
Well, and
It's another $825.
Yeah, yeah,
Last month it was money.
yep.
And we've talked about this before, but the traffic impact fee is by Act 209. This isn't something East Cocalico Township created. This is an act of the Commonwealth. And we just pigtailed on it because, as I said before, and I'll continue to say it, I'm a proponent of it. And I'm sorry for you business people that don't agree with me, but, it isn't fair for a taxpayer to have to foot the bills for the developers to come in here to create all these nightmares at the intersections, as this gentleman to my left was talking about, and then we're supposed to fix it up. They gotta have some skin in the game, and this was our way of getting them to have skin in the game. And they know ahead of time coming in here that, yes, we're one of few municipalities that have a traffic impact fee. Lanham Township has one. And they still have issues in there, but they have one in there. They've had it for years. It's the way to go. It takes the burden off of the taxpayers. We're getting whacked every time you turn around. And I don't want to pay $80 million to fix up a road for somebody that doesn't even live there.
But we have to respond when we have business owners asking us about that.
But you tell them
And
we're Act
we're
209. I told that gentleman the other month, I said, it'd take you an hour to read it. I know you have an hour, you sit here and play on your phone all night long. You got an hour to read this thing.
And
Read it and understand it. It's not hard.
tell them to come to a TIP meeting.
Who sets the fees for that? Because I've talked to several business owners, and in my simple mind, these fees seem exorbitant to put on a business owner in a small township like ours. How does that fee come up with? And I'm asking because I don't know.
We have several different attorneys that we reference, traffic lawyer, personnel, legal when it comes to land development papers. They all
Traffic engineering firm.
They all come back at us with proposals on a yearly basis of their fees.
As a general rule, the TIF calls for so many dollars per trip generation, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And so it's a relatively simple multiplication.
So a business coming in is gonna add an additional 100 trips per year would be a set fee. But a business that has no additional trips would still have to pay a fee?
Well, it varies from business to business.
Okay.
I mean, I've looked, in a prior job, I looked at a pharmacy, a chain pharmacy. And you even consider their employees, their vendors, their delivery trucks. Those are all trip generators. And even one of those will generate about 10,000 trips a day, 5,000 in, 5,000 out. And then you do your multiplication based on how much per trip generation your TIF calls for.
So there's formulas that are being used for the trip generation. That's how they come up with the fees.
Are they public knowledge or?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They're in the ordinances, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to look into that and see how that's come up. I'm curious now. Thank you.
Okay.
Any others? Hearing none, I make a motion, we pass this list of bills as presented.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, now we'll move on to one additional list. This was created because two of our road people are taking a test tomorrow. They had to have, here we go. But they have to have a check along to take the test. So this list of bills was $130, I believe. And that was out of the general fund. This was for tests on the, I believe it's the pesticide test. So, any questions on that? Hearing none, I make a motion, we pass this list of bills.
Second.
Okay, the motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
One more thing if I could. Okay. Payroll amount from May 9th to May 22nd, 2-week period. Looking at $86,603.05. There's a minor explanation for that too. There's $150 included in that for cash for the pool. Needed change to open up the pool so that anybody coming in with cash, they could make change. So that's included in that. That's my treasurer's Report for tonight. Two.
Any motion for that last one?
No, because it's included in the payroll, but
Okay. So,
technically speaking, it's not part of the payroll. I think Judy included it. Did you take notice of that?
Okay.
There's $150 there.
I think she asked me where, we talked about that, she notified me of that because it was cash.
Yeah.
And it had to be made out
Yeah.
to Brett, so he could, I think it was to Brett, so it's okay to you,
So I could go to the
cash
bank and
it,
get cash.
so we can take it.
That's what it
Right, that's it.
Jeff, doesn't hurt, let's go ahead and make.
Okay.
For that one also.
And it is check number 61022. It's for $150. It's for startup cash for the pool. So I will make a motion that we approve paying that.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
There you go. Now we got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, thank you for that. So moving on, old business, continued discussions. American Rescue Plan Act. I'll give you some background, some information here. The American Rescue Plan Act, COVID-19 Local Fiscal Recovery Funding Program. We've been notified about a month ago that there were funds that would be available for us to apply for as a result of impacts due to COVID-19. Okay. So we received notification from the Department of Community and Economic Development on Wednesday, June 2nd. Literally yesterday, that the application for the disbursement of the funding is due within 5 days. Okay? The amount to be received by East Cocalico Township, the amount we can potentially receive is $1,117,239.18. That would actually be payable in 2 installments of $558,619.59. The first amount should be received in June of 2021, and the second in a year, approximately June of 2022. Okay? The funds must be spent by December 31st of 2024. The uses are limited to the following categories. They are water, sewer, broadband infrastructure, replace lost public sector revenue, address negative economic impacts caused by public health emergency, and support public health expenditures, and provide premium pay for essential workers. Those are the categories. We will be subject to a single or program audit if more than $750,000 is spent in one fiscal year. That would be the January through December timeframe. The cost of the single audit is about $7,500 per discussions with Mayor Dussel. That's our auditing firm, our accounting auditing firm for our municipality. Okay? So, as a result of this, there are 2 motions I would like us to make. One of the motions is we want to take these funds after they're applied for, and if we get approval on these funds, we want to open a new money market account with Univest for the deposit of those funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds, so we actually have those funds completely segregated for exactly those uses that are specified. Okay? And then there's another motion here And that's really to go ahead and complete the forms in a very expedited time period, sign those forms and get those off, okay? So, what, tomorrow, literally tomorrow. So gentlemen, need a motion.
Well, I will always vote to receive $1 million.
It's more than $1 million, more quickly.
Just
I
as
make a motion,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
and I will read it, 1.1 million is worth reading. Authorize the chairperson to execute the necessary forms and to complete the registration on the DCEV's, Department of Community and Economic Development, single application webpage for American Rescue Plan Act funding. The forms include the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act, subrecipient data sheet, the U.S. Department of Transportation coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, and the assurances of compliance with the civil rights requirements. Total amount of funding will be $1,117,239.18 to be obligated for allowable projects between March of 2021 and December of 2024.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
You said water and sewer, so is that money gonna go into the Water and Sewer Authority? Are they gonna be responsible to
Well, the
administer
good
this?
news for you is that we haven't discussed that yet, because that expenditure of monies isn't necessarily something that comes under an executive session. And so Liz came in yesterday afternoon.
I'm on the Water and
about it.
Sewer Authority, that's why I'm asking.
Okay, we haven't,
We haven't seen the details embedded in those fundings yet.
Well, I'm just asking because if you're gonna put all that money in the township fund, and it's for water and sewer, should the money go into the water and sewer?
it is not going to go in the township general fund.
That's why
All
we're
right,
saying,
well, all right, whatever account you were talking about,
I think the next motion will take care of that.
huh?
I think the next motion will take care of that.
so
Just as an aside, Judy and Shirley are two administrative girls from, they've taken a webinar on the subject, gathering details. You know, I've asked them, well, come up with some concrete suggestions of where this can and can't go. The authority is an option, perhaps for a portion. The board hasn't discussed this.
Okay,
But we're still in the gathering information phase.
I'm just saying, keep
Yeah,
that in mind, that if it's for water and sewer, is it gonna go into the township fund?
There could easily be a portion.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Craig made a good point. This is not something that can be discussed in executive session.
No,
It's got to be discussed in public.
correct. Correct.
All in agreement.
Yep.
so I have a motion, and a second. Oh,
Just a real quick question, to kind of put it out there. We know the federal government is very vague and they give you these big general areas and it's up to you to determine who, what, when, and where.
That's why the webinar was.
My question would be, what do you think the process might look like to determine who is eligible to receive that within the township? You know, the business says, feels they've been hurt by it and they want to apply for it. Just the general thoughts. I know it's new and we're all trying to developing this, but we've seen across the country there's been a lot of abuse of this.
that's,
And I personally don't want to see any more abuse take place of that money. If it's coming in the township, we need to have some process in place where it's going to be controlled, regulated, applied for, and dispersed in a very open manner.
absolutely, agree with you. And that's one of the reasons why we need to really get more details from the feds in terms of the specifics behind the program, how it's supposed to be used, how it's supposed to be So we're not even there yet, because again, we
Yeah,
just
when
got
we
it.
get the money, then we'll have to really talk seriously about it, but.
Correct.
Then that's when we dig down into the layers.
Correct.
Yes.
RC, I was also in on the webinar on that, and the sewer they're talking about does extend to stormwater. So some of the townships, potentially fairly large obligations under MS4 to do water cleanup projects, could be funded out of that money, if need be.
One of the reasons I was asking you about that grant earlier.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Second motion. Authorize the opening of a new money market account at the Universal Bank and Trust Company for the deposit of the American Rescue Plan Act funds. And all interest earned on these funds, no matter how small, shall be spent on allowable projects as required by law. So,
So long that may be.
I will second that. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Okay.
So even the interest has to be spent on infrastructure.
Yes.
make sure it clean audit.
Yes.
The $20 it'll be.
RC,
Yes, sir.
with this extra money coming in, are you bonded for the right amount now, or must you change your bonding? You just added $1 million, or you're going to be adding, you didn't get it yet, but.
Right, and that's one of the things we need to look at internally. Yes, it's a great question, Doug. Yep, it's one of the things we have to check on. Okay, continuing on with old business, Fire and Emergency Services Institute. Jeff, what are you gonna do with that?
Wait for Mike to get up on the front table on that. So we will be talking about that in the future.
Okay, so we'll table that one.
It's not gonna be happening soon, because we approached you about that almost a year ago, and it's still be getting kicked down the road, so.
Okay.
Is there a reason why this is being tabled every month? Seriously,
Yeah,
I mean, a legitimate reason,
well,
not COVID or anything like that.
right, we have no manager until next week.
Well, I understand that, but the guy's just coming in to give you a presentation.
Where did it, where did it?
No, we've had the presentation.
Oh, you did, from him?
About 6 months.
We had an informational presentation. There was, one of the companies participated in a webinar with him and gathered, information too. I personally have talked to all, 3 of the companies. And, there was a little reluctance here and there about moving forward at one time. I think it behooves us to, once again, go around the table and, get the buy-in from everybody involved. Are we ready to go ahead with this? And that includes us with our board, as well as the other 3 companies. I'll look forward to Mr. Hessian assisting in that process.
Is there a way that we could make it within the next meeting or 2, that there's at least progression in that?
Well, we can have that conversation about the preparedness for the buy-in, if you would like. Are you there?
Well, like this, I've just been looking online at some of the stuff you did, and it's just that this has been getting kicked down the road for the last 8 months. It's been tabled and tabled long before the manager's happened. So it'd be nice to get the ball rolling, because the fire department working group came to the supervisors a year ago about this, and it just keeps getting kicked down the road.
That's
And all
correct.
it does is get the problem we have of recruiting, retention, finances, just keeps getting pushed back farther and farther, so it'd be
nice to get going with this.
Would you like to have that conversation in the near future?
That would work, yes.
Okay, we will be contacting you.
Okay.
Same thing?
You can try. I'm busy for the next 3 or 4 months, pretty much every day of the week, so
Okay,
take a day, we'll see what we can get worked out.
we'll talk.
Okay, moving on then to North Reamstown Road and Colonel Howard Boulevard, that's the street lighting project there.
I've had no correspondence from PP&L so far.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to new business and informational.
Mr. Chairman, earlier in the meeting, we approved a services agreement between East Cocalico Township and Denver Borough for the joint services of Mr. Hessian. In addition to that, there needs to be an ordinance that empowers it, if you will. And you heard the chair speak to the attestation that they did. But nonetheless, the ordinance itself has to be passed at an open public meeting. And so the ordinance is number Township of East Cocalico Ordinance 2021-03. It is an ordinance authorizing East Cocalico Township to enter into the intermunicipal agreement with Denver Borough for the services of Mike Hessian as manager. Again, what we did earlier was the services agreement. This is the ordinance that 2 municipalities have to sign off on. So, you want me to read it in its entirety, or it's basically an ordinance that says, you know, East Cocalico and Denver Borough are really good friends, and, you know, we're gonna do this. So, anyway, I would make a motion that we as a board pass ordinance number 2021-03, the ordinance authorizing East Cocalico and Denver Borough into an intermunicipal agreement for the services of a manager.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions?
Just a question, is the details worked out, I don't know if Mr. Hesh has it, about when he's gonna be at East Cocalico, when you're gonna get Denver, like certain days of the week, or is it gonna be, you're just gonna get like a bus and travel around with your local office?
Yeah, there'll be, it'll probably, the intent is to be sort of an equal sharing, but obviously coming on board and having to get affiliated with the township and some of these issues you guys are talking about, a lot of you, as well as the township staff, the board, and the volunteers in the different committees. So I see early on that's going to take the bulk of the time. Still need to have a presence at both municipalities, and how that looks, they'll probably be seeing a lot more of me over here than necessarily at Denver, but part of it's going to be as situations arise. So I have a plan as to how I'm going to approach it, but that could change week to week depending on what's going on, you know. And
I mean, just like they say, if there was something I wanted to talk to you about, like if they're gonna be out there, I just kind of stop the office. East Calico, if you're not there, if you're not there, travel out to Denver, or you know, eventually.
yeah, you could call the office, and if I'm there, and if not, I mean, there's enough room. I meet with many different people during the day for many different things, so we would just carve out that time. I know a lot of you are busy. You had mentioned next 4 months, or whatever it was, to kind of get that together. Yeah, I think it's going to be, it's an interesting concept. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to work with all of you, and I think we're going to work its way through until we get something set. And that's going to change. There's going to be times where the township's going to be much busier, there's going to be times where the borough's going to need something, and those times may shift a little bit. The anticipation is to get here, get entrenched, make sure I'm involved, and provide the board with support, and you guys a person to talk to in that township manager spot.
My only concern is that you don't get the borough mixed up with Class 2 township.
Yeah, well,
That's
yeah.
my only concern.
In 2 months, I just can sort of make sure I know my name and where I'm going. I don't think that's a good thing, but, no, I think, I mean, again, we want to make sure we're thorough, make sure that we're providing the service that you guys are looking for. It's an exciting time, you know, right here, there's so much going on in the township here as well as in the borough. We're at a key point in the county, there's some big questions that came up tonight. So I'm excited to jump in and see where I can help, and hopefully we got a good staff and a good crew, and we'll get this thing moving where we need to go. So.
Could you just tell us what does a manager do for a township?
Everything.
Yeah.
It goes from anything to, I mean, it could be something as simple as just dealing with an animal complaint, you know, from a property owner, to meeting with PennDOT or trying to get people to the table to help fund projects we're looking to do. You know, some of the discussions I heard tonight with, we talked about how difficult it could be for PennDOT. It's hard enough when you're in your own municipality trying to get monies available to fund some of these things, but then when you add that layer of PennDOT in, you know, township manager serves as a way of getting those people to the table, essentially, to make sure, not necessarily the squeaky wheel, but making sure that we're advocating for our issues here in the township, bringing the county up to let them know how important this area is to the county, to people coming into the county, to development in the county. So it's grant writing. You know, I write a large number of grants for Denver. I anticipate writing a large number of grants for East Cocalico. And that's why I was excited to hear what Ken had mentioned about the grant there, and thinking, all right, can we take that application and maybe tailor it a little to the Lancaster County, if you didn't, to that one clean water fund. You know, get this out. There's money's coming in right now that the township board's going to have to decide how we want to spend this $1 million. Part of that plan, my support would be talking with groups, getting a list of projects together, potential costs, getting it to them so that they can rank order them, and then we can start to move when we need to move to get these things implemented. A lot of money floating around out there with post-COVID. We want to be positioned that we can take whatever monies we have, match those, bring more money in, and do as much as we can for the township. And, on top of that, you know, I'm going to be learning. You know, I'm coming from Denver Borough for 24 years. I can get to every street and know where they are. I pulled out my phone the other day to go to the park project where that stoning point was. I wanted to make sure I went to the right place, you know. So, but then again, sometimes I get lost in my own development, so that's not something different. I'll just leave early to get where I need to get. But it's going to be learning, you know, some of the things that impact a township versus the borough. And all in all, the approach needs to be the same. You know, you need to be transparent. You need to work hard, provide the information. And
Yeah, I like that word transparent.
Very much so.
The transparent for the other manager that evidently got 2-year severance pay, that's not transparent.
well, again, it's in the context of, you know, of what we can do. There's, as I think RC had mentioned, there's HIPAA issues, there's legal issues. And, you know, the first thing I scribbled down here is, I think at the next meeting, we'll have a copy of the bills here presented. So if something comes up and says, hey, what's this on this sheet? We can pull out that invoice right there and say, here it is, you know, this is what you're in. Because everybody wants to make sure that information's shared, and we want to be able to move on to these other things, and we don't want anyone to feel like it's not being shared with them. So there's things, though, you know, you have 3 volunteers who are elected. I would be hired to make sure that's done. The chief has been doing a great job filling in. I have to admit, when he calls me now in the last couple of weeks or stops over the building, I'm like, oh man, don't. I'm like, it looks like the walk of death when he goes in. I'm like, what's going on? But he's very easy to do it. So those are some of the things. You know, I think there's a lot of, you know, as a sort of semi-outsider. I mean, Denver and East aren't that far apart. We work together on a lot of issues, and I think we can benefit each other on a lot of issues. That's the whole goal of trying this arrangement. You know, it's exciting to see the energy here and the number of people that are in the meeting, and the goal would be to engage people to keep moving that forward with the township. That's my perspective. I don't set policy. I just try to provide the support information that group needs so they can make the best decision.
One can't get out of Denver without going through East.
Sure you can.
Not too far. Think about it.
Well, we go out at the park.
Huh?
Go out at the parks. Leave them a borough at the park.
Okay, that might be.
So is the board,
I'm sorry, let me get to the
is the
question.
board considering this as a permanent agreement, or is this temporary? Or is this going to be, are we going to replace the other manager for East Cocalico, or is this?
It's a one-year agreement with a 90-day review every 90 days.
Okay.
And either party can give 90-day notice to the other party.
Okay.
And we're done, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, all three parties. So if two parties are okay and one party isn't, then I have that ability too. But the goal, I mean, it's important. It's something new, and we wanted to make sure that there's a mechanism in place to see how well it's operating for everybody. No one wants to do something that's not going to work. So.
But the general feeling is
very
if it works
first-
well, you'd like to see it continue.
Absolutely. So, I'm sorry. go ahead.
Well, the very first township manager that East Cocalico employed, she was actually shared financially and time-wise with the Sewer and Water Authority. She was the executive director of the Sewer and Water Authority. I'm going to say, I think it was a 65-35 split.
Correct, yes, yes.
Up
You're right.
close.
Yep, it was.
And so that's where we started, but it was, she only had to walk across the hall as opposed to, you know, it's not that unusual for us, I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
One thing I like, if I'm not mistaken, is you live locally, right?
I live in Clay Township.
But close to, a lot of the managers we've been having lately don't even live near
You're not
me.
invested in the
You know,
township.
so that's, he's close enough that he knows this area. We're not getting paired to East 10th Field or whatever, like, I had to sit in meetings and hear a lot of that kind of stuff, so that's good.
And I'll expand to answer part of your question on what Craig said is, we collaborate very, very well with Denver Borough. We have a very good relationship there. This approach that we're looking at, it's a new model. It's a new approach. We see this as there's some real possibilities here in terms of leveraging large-scale purchases, a number of things where we could possibly end up saving a lot more money than having an individual manager in various locations. So that's one of the things we're excited about in terms of this brand new model, this new approach.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, one more question?
If I could say something about the lack of grant money that was acquired by our former manager. And Mike, I know, has gotten a lot of grant money for Denver Borough. And an example would be, how many times did I ask to get electric charging stations? There were grants that could have been applied for that Penny never did. And Adamstown has them, Denver has them, Ephrata has them, all through public grants. And we still never got it done. And all she kept doing was tabling it. And I know Mike got it for Denver. And I know Mike got a lot of grants for Denver. And I'm looking forward to having that change done here in East Cocalico. Because at the last meeting that Penny was at, I asked her, how much did you get for us in grant money? And she said she didn't know. And when I pressed the issue, it was zero. And Mike, I know it's grant money for Denver. So it's going to be a wonderful change for East Cocalico Township.
Okay, so have a motion and I have a second. Okay. All in favor, gentlemen? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. I don't want to say manager, but I want to say
You can call me whatever.
Possessive or
Chief.
plural?
I've been called worse,
Chief Manager.
no matter what.
chief assisting us during this transition.
So I can very proudly, I guess you could say that the pool opened on Monday. It would have opened on Saturday except for the weather. The basketball court by the pool is paved and striped, and the playground is just waiting on the edging for the mulch to be put in at Stony Point. And that the scooter beginner skate park near the Reamstown Park will begin soon. So those are quite a...
End of July.
number of accomplishments that have happened, and I would like to publicly thank everyone on the rec board for all their efforts, because it's a tremendous amount Eddie, Tara, and everyone has put in. I would like to thank Lisa Kashner, Judy Loomis, and Shirley Hepia in reference to the many, many things that happened with the pool and getting things ready. I was going to volunteer someone at my house who didn't know she was being volunteered to work on the pool passes, but they accomplished everything really quick. So, I mean, the work they put in to get it done on time, the pool passes were taken to the pool, handed out to the people that have purchased them on municipay. It went very well because of all their efforts, so they need to be very happy with what they did. A couple more things, the soda machine at the pool has been removed today, hopefully to help with the snack bar business. Kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense to have a soda machine there. It's kind of Eddie's thought, and I completely agree. So that has been removed from the pool. I don't know if I need a motion for the free pool pass. There'll be a motion.
Yeah, we've done that.
I would ask for a motion. The Adamstown Library asked for a number of free passes, day passes for the pool. I believe Adamstown gives some, Denver gives some, in reference to the volunteers that they have reading. I think it's to the kids who are in the program that they have. So I checked with Mike, Denver gives 5, so I asked him to borrow some, and we kind of changed them a little bit. I'm not going to borrow them because I'm not getting them back, but get some from him. So he kindly gave me 5. So I would ask for a motion to give those 5 day pool passes to the Adamstown Public Library so they can give them out to their volunteers.
So moved.
I will second that.
Is that a one-time usage, or?
Yeah, it's just a day pass.
Okay.
One day pass. I have a motion, I have a second. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
Last thing, I get to throw Mike under the bus. He sent an email out, and I was a little lacking on this, but the county comprehensive plan, am I saying that correctly? That we need a representative from East Cocalico supervisors to be part of the work group. Need approximately 1 time per month until the project is completed. I don't know if you want to say more on that, but.
Yeah, we had discussed this at a regional meeting, I think at school, or at Denver, it was in Denver. The county is looking to work with the municipalities and the school district in Cocalico to update our comprehensive plan, which was last done in 2003, I believe. They want to frame it in the manner in which Places 2040, so it's sort of going to be nested into that. And they're looking for a steering committee working group of volunteers from the 4 municipalities and the school district to help identify what some of the issues are going to be and to make sure that this process continues through. Right now, we've had from Denver Borough, there's a council member, a member of the Planning Commission, and myself. And then from this end, I would think if you guys are okay with it, I would also attend from that end. But we'd like to get a supervisor, rep, and a rep from your Planning Commission there. West Cocalico has provided one, and Adamstown has provided. They're discussing to provide someone from their planning commission and their council, and the school district has a couple people on board. So we're trying to put this together so that the first meeting can happen at some point in the end of June. So I sent that out to the chief just to try to make sure if you guys haven't, if any of you are particularly interested in doing it, if you want to volunteer, we can approach the planning commission to get somebody, but at least we can start getting things scheduled.
Experience matters.
Go Craig. Yeah.
You want to flip a coin?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Is it done by 12:31?
It could be, it may not be, no. But the same point, at that point, there could be a transition, and hopefully the planning commission will have somebody on board as well. It's just important to get, particularly being obviously the bigger player in this whole region, to have somebody at that table to be able to make sure that our issues here are presented as we're looking at moving forward.
for how long? It will be over a year.
I think it's, they would like to wrap it up in a year, so we're in June, you're gonna go through into next year, whoever. But like I said, there could be a transition at that point, that somebody else on the board could begin to fill in. Usually that vote gets taken when someone's not at the meeting, so that person gets into it.
You can say, you can throw it in.
Let's, I'll not throw him under the bus that, no, there should be continuity. I agree with you 100%. And, you know, I am serving the unexpired term. I understand that. And we had an election, you know, it's clean, it's neat, you know, et cetera. So I think just in case it does go that year or even part of that year, we don't necessarily want to change horses in the last 2 months or 3 months. So I would suggest that our chair, RC, attend to represent the board, and then hopefully a volunteer from the planning commission as well.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Good.
Okay. Yep. Okay, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, public comment. Public comment for non-agenda items only. Just please state your name, so it's easier for Lisa when she does meeting like this. Yes, Eddie.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention about the pool committee. So there was a Dawn Ortega, she was here a couple weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago at this point, talking about hosting regionals, swim regionals here at the Reedstown Pool. So between her and I and Judy and the township and their insurance company, we're trying to figure out the details of that, so that way there's coverage, so that we can present that to the board with all the details, as we're looking to make this a pretty big event for the community. Has a potential for, we'll be hosting 5 other teams from other townships. So I think it's a really great way to really show who we are as a community, and really trying to make this a fun day for all. I'll get more details, but we're talking about possibly getting vendors in here, food vendors, drink vendors, have police and fire department there, different departments, maybe hopefully switching in and out shifts, and just really trying to pull a lot of the community together, so that way we can really make this a great event for the swim team, and for the adjacent township and other clubs. So be on the lookout for that. We'll provide more detailed information. Unfortunately, we just haven't had a park and rec board for the last 2 months. Hoping to have one this month, so that way a lot of this information can be worked out and identified, and then we can present a solid plan to you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Way back when we did districts, years ago, when Katie was there, my kids,
Okay.
all we had to do was add the rider.
Add the rider?
Yeah, we added a rider for that event because we ended up finding out, just some quick feedback for you, we ended up finding out the coverage we had at the pool
Okay.
for organized events was only for 2 teams. So we added the rider for that 3 days, 4 days,
Okay.
to include, I think at that time, we had 6 or 7 teams or something like that.
Okay, so.
Yeah, look into the rider.
The rider, okay,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, thanks,
Yep.
Jesse.
Just one other thing to consider with that, if the pool is being used that day or those 2 days, I don't know how long it goes, you may want to consider some kind of arrangement with Denver Borough to allow your members who aren't part of the swim team but who want to swim to be able to use that facility while the divisional is there. So
We can talk about that.
just something to consider.
Yeah.
And that's, and I think, thank you, Lisa, by the way, for quickly putting that stuff on the website. That was awesome. You know, just saved a lot of confusion. So I think, you know, the more proactively we are with communicating through the website, other different media sources, give people updates, I think the less confusion will be, and the better experience it will be for the community. So.
Yes.
Doug Macklin. Yeah, I hate to bring this up, but RC, but the status of the missing files.
We have not located them.
I gotta ask you a question. Are you really trying to find them? I'm sorry.
They have been looked for, we can't find them, Doug. We don't, I know it's not an answer, again.
No, I'm
My
sorry, it's not an
my
answer.
social security number went out with them also.
Well, I understand that, but you don't have any idea whatsoever who, what, or where in this day and age. What are you doing to protect it from here forward, besides giving us all an insurance policy?
We've had some process changes internally, okay? Now, those any type of document like that, there's a chain of custody when those documents are picked up, they're brought directly back to the building. So the improvements we put in place are really related to corrective actions for making sure it does not happen again.
Those files are now electronic, so there should not be no
Yeah.
physical transfer, it's all electronic now.
And that's part of the corrective action.
Well, and I no disrespect, but, electronic transfer, they're breaking into them all the time. I understand, but, I guess my whole issue is, I've never gotten an answer, a straight answer on how the hell it happened. There was years ago, there was one person had access, period, to that office. As a supervisor, I didn't even have a key to that office, and I didn't want it, for the reason that I wasn't gonna get drug in on the mud when you know what hit the fan. And now it's hit the fan. So are you telling me that you changed the process so only one person has access to that now? Is that what you're telling me? Telling us?
That is part of the corrective action. There's only one person who has a key. Those doors are locked at all times when they leave the offices. Those doors, all the filing cabinets within there are locked. That was part of the corrective action.
You know, you could figure this out if you subpoena everybody. You could get to the bottom of it real quick.
We as a municipality followed the guidance we submitted it to our insurance carrier, as I said earlier. Our insurance carrier reviewed it. When they got involved, they gave us the guidance as to the next steps. That's what they do in terms of what to do next and how to do it. They had decided that based on what they saw, it was an error and that there was no malfeasance of any kind that they believed, and that's why they believe that there was no need for any kind of investigation beyond what they preliminarily looked at.
What does an error mean? I'm sorry.
I mean, when files,
When
when
a
you lose
file
files,
is
that's
missing,
an error.
what does an error mean? That
And-
somebody accidentally picked it up and took it home?
Typically, when files go
We-
missing, they're either
We don't
thrown
know.
out or stolen.
That's an assumption that somebody picked up the file. We don't know that.
I'm not getting a warm fuzzy feeling about this thing, I tell you.
Yeah, when did that whole process change from one person having access to that room all these years? After she died, is that when it changed? I'm just asking,
Mr. Chair.
because it didn't take long for it to happen after that.
No, say that, correct?
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily happen in the room. The files were not electronic previously.
Right.
Before, the files had to be moved at different times for different purposes of business. So the insurance company feels that there was no criminal activity. And to say that if we subpoena everybody, let's say it did happen criminally, you wouldn't get a subpoena, you'd do an interview or an interrogation, and you would have to get a confession. So,
Well, I think if you subpoena everybody, and they know they're gonna go to jail if they lie.
I don't know, I mean, I can't subpoena people, that's not.
Yeah, you can, I know that,
Correct.
but there's people that can.
Correct, but that doesn't mean the person is going to come and just scream, I did it. I mean, that's not how it works in the world.
I know if I'd be squealing like a pig if I got subpoenaed for something.
That's when we have it different ways.
I'm sorry, I hate to keep bringing it up, but it's just, I'm just perplexed that I get this answer that we don't know where they got to, and that's not an answer, that's an excuse, I'm sorry. No disrespect.
Understood. My frustration is as high as yours.
Well, it seems like an insurance company shouldn't just have to make that call. It almost seems like it should be a,
Are they
I don't want to
tracking,
say criminal, but a,
are they tracking any of it? I mean, is there any way, because they're on the hook, now, that's what they have money for, but can they tell if anything's been run amiss? Are they
That's what
keeping you guys in the loop?
That's what IDX does.
Are they keeping you in the loop though?
They keep us all individually in the loop, yes.
But as the client, because you're paying the bill, we're paying the bill, are they letting the board of supervisors know that they found some suspicious activity?
No, I believe they do not, and I believe they do not because that's all confidential information between, like, use myself as an example, between myself and IDX.
Okay.
And for the public, IDX is an independent subcontractor. Think of them as LifeLock. Very similar.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Yes, June.
June came back as a committee woman for Schwartzville, and on behalf of the residents of Rose Hill and Muddy Creek Village, I'd like to thank all involved with starting our resurfacing project.
You're welcome.
That was put on hold today and tomorrow because of
The
weather.
weather. But
They're getting,
in front of my house was paved, and that was a wonderful birthday present, so thank you.
Any other questions?
Don't look for it next year.
I'm not. I will look for it again. I know I'm 70 years old. It's not going to happen again.
Okay, I'd like to make an announcement, and that is next supervisors meeting will be held on Thursday, June 17th at 7 p.m. in person, in public at the Township Building and via live Zoom at the Township Building.
Hopefully with new instrument, hopefully.
We have no executive sessions tonight, gentlemen? Jeff? No? Okay, I'd like a motion to adjourn at this time.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.